Hello, 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 everybody, all you ProBots fans across the internet. Welcome back to day 2 of ProBots. I am your host slash producer, Drekken, and it has been 1 week. It's been 1 week of watching these bots go toe to toe, and now we're in day 2, groups C and D. And hopefully, you're just excited as I am for day 2. So much so, let's bring in our talent, our lovely casters, and Sword and Ketrock. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me once again for day 2.
Happy to be here, Drex.
No, you're not. You're a liar. You're not happy to be here. It's like I brought you here under duress.
I mean, in fairness, I was right here anyway. I'm just on camera now. But I was going to be here regardless.
Regardless of the outcome, you would have been here. So I guess, you know, Ketrock, though, you had to come down. So it's 1 for 2.
Yeah. And I'm at least as happy as Ender. Sorry to be here. So.
I will say something before we start off. For myself, I have been coding pretty much all day my own bot. So I have to say I have come to appreciate all these amazing authors here and what they have to go through in making a bot happen. So kudos. The first one, I'll give you all a round of applause for all the hard work it takes to make your bots do what it does, because, man, it's tough. It's tough. But, you know, my bot now responds to cheese. So that's a step in the right direction.
Nice.
And I'm assuming today we'll see a lot of cheese because it is the round of 16, day 2. So we all know that day 2s can be filled with all sorts of cheese. But before we get started, let's check out that format. And Sword, king of formats?
Sure. So basically, GSL format, if anyone is familiar with such a thing, we start with 4 groups of 4. And there is essentially a double elimination tournament within that group. And the winner, the first to get through and the second to get through the consolation, make it out, and 2 people die at that stage. At which point they advance to the single elimination playoff bracket, where quarters are best of 3, semifinals are best of 5, and finals are best of 7. And I see that we fixed the line break issue on on that square and eliminated the third rectangle. So really good.
Secret third rectangle.
Yeah. It's actually the hidden boss, and we got rid of it this time around. But you know what? Luckily for many of you, if you've been around and you've seen ProBots, day 1s are always rocky, but we like to pole vote vault to the end and land at least pretty well, except for when I try to say
that's our Olympic tribute.
Absolutely.
Your pronunciation of that.
Yeah, well, it's the Canadian tongue. Blame it on everything. That's my plan. So that's our format. And before we even get started, I don't know what you're doing out there. I see you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you've already hit that subscribe button, that like button, because, hey, it's free and it's easy and it helps ProBots. You share it if you want. Bring it to your grandma if she's sleeping. Turn on her iPad. Put on ProBots. Get a little bit of viewership up there so the algorithm knows that we're out here making these bots sweat. If bots can do so. If they can't, well then,
either which way. They can't.
But I
guess you can make a robot do it, but it wouldn't be real.
You could program one to do so. Yeah. I truly believe so. Here we are, day 2, gentlemen. What's your feelings for what we're about to see?
I'm hyped. I always like seeing some of the newer bots that I haven't seen before, and again, there's a few today that may do wild and wacky things. But we always get in the week 1, it's the new bot, and we want to see like the showcase of them, and they're up against like Micro Machine, and they just get stomped. So. We never really get to see, but some of them you can at least get a glimpse of what it's going to be or what sort of strategies they're pulling out. So that's usually the part I enjoy.
Ketrock?
Yeah, well, I mean, Micro Machine has been trained to beat lots of cheese, because for many years that's what people tried against him. But Yuri's a brand new bot, so he'll likely be facing a cheese from Yuri, and it'll likely be a cheese that Micro Machine's never seen before. So
yeah, we have actually 6 new bots this season, so I think one of the most new bots we've had in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if that's just bots retiring and lower bots are rising up, or we're getting a whole new round of really awesome AIs. I guess Cat Rock, you'd have the best insight for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a little MIA from the scene myself, but yeah, when I do tune into the Discord, I see a lot of new names there. So, yeah, it's still a very active Discord. It's just new people. So I assume that means new authors, and we're seeing it here in ProBots. So it's 6 brand new ones. I don't think I've ever seen 6 brand new bots in ProBots before.
Yeah,
I've neither. Right.
big
Well-
groundbreaking news. Yeah.
Well, why don't we take a look at that bracket? We're in C and D.
So yeah, here we got Micro Machine versus Yuri first up, like we were saying, followed by Sharkbot, which is one of our longer. It's weird. I could still consider some of these new, but they've been here a while now. But they're kind of our second generation stars against Mini Testic P, maybe, but we'll talk about the P part later. Then Eris, which is a returning champion. So Eris had come with another bot last time, same author, but different version. And now back to Eris against a mini Taran. And then Zozo, one of our cheesier bots, against Clicka
Clicka
Genia. Okay.
Clicka Genia.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like whenever like Latin people impose their language or like whenever they try to explain the letters to another culture, they just explained it wrong. Because if we wanted to spell that, we could do that. But they chose not to. It's like when you see the Chinese city and it's like XU and it's like, well, that's shoe. I'm like, no, you could spell that if you wanted to, but that's not how. So I think that's on us.
I think I'm pretty sure that different accents and what do they call it, sound aigu or whatever.
Well, yes, there's that stuff.
That stuff.
We don't have any of that here. Maybe we're leaving it out, but it's not there.
That's true. There isn't any here. I'll blame our technical aspect of unable to show those kind of things.
Yeah.
Or just language in general. So yeah, that's where we are. Groups C and D. So C and D. And first up, Micro Machine versus Yuri. And so, like you guys mentioned earlier, Micro Machine is the wall. He is the test. If you are a new bot, you have to get through Micro Machine first and foremost. If you don't get through Micro Machine, then that's it.
You're still probably a top 5 bot because Micro Machine.
Oh, well, you're here in ProBots, right?
He's the wall to greatness, I would say.
Like he's like the wall though, like the great wall, the great filter, right? The great filter. If you're on the other side of Micro Machine, you are most likely going to come up in. You're going to get into like the bracket. You're probably going to be in top 8, like most likely. If you take a good solid amount of games off of Micro Machine, you're probably ending up in top 8, more or less. If you don't, then you're going to have to fight for your life, and avoid that scrap pile coming up behind you. But we'll see. Why don't we maybe take a look at our match itself?
Let's do it. We got the stats, the cool.
Yeah,
stats.
we have all that stuff. I'm hoping that we can.
Awesome.
Oh, it didn't format properly, but
it's up there. Oh, we're gonna redo it.
We're gonna see it. Maybe we're gonna get the chance to see. We'll give production an opportunity. In the meantime, it's gonna be refreshed.
It's doing something. I can see the code working in the background. It's doing something.
Manually programmed as we speak. Oh, there we go.
There we go, indeed. So yeah, so Micro Machine. I'm wondering about the appearances. He's definitely been here more than 8 times. That's maybe is like 18, I would believe.
Maybe it's time that we have on record. So we have our own database now of keeping track of it. So it's 8 times that we were able to
should update our database. I'm pretty sure Wikipedia goes back to like our first season, but then I think some of the most recent it hasn't been there. But anyway, however many of these we've done, that's how often Micro Machine has been here. I think it was in the very first one where it literally just made Marines that walk single file across the map. Its strategy: put pressure on, adapt its army composition, blah blah blah. I don't know if it really even does that. It just hits you. with with a bunch of stuff. Weaknesses, yeah. If you're going to take up Micro Machine, it tends to be early that it's going to do, and then yeah, it's bad at things like Swarm Host and Tempest. I think everyone's still bad against Tempest.
I hope so. Tempests have
Yeah.
always been my favorite in here. We've lost the era of Tempests and Probots.
Yeah, it adapts. Yeah, when it loses, switches build orders. You may see at the start of the game, it will mention like a record and like a build order that it's going to be doing, and so it will adapt if it ends up losing. And the additional thing is that they're French, probably. I'll just add that they're French and they're nice guys, and they once gave a Drekken a cookie without telling what's in it.
Oh yes, how the hell could I forget about that? Jesus. So I guess
Yuri has no strategy, no weaknesses.
Ooh, that's impressive.
Not at all. Special, nothing. Additional. This was originally named Jedzia. I don't know if that's true, but whatever. First, yeah. So this one's a C++.
Oh, Star Trek reference. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Stacks. Yeah. Yeah. So first appearance, Protoss, C++, hard coded. Most of them say hard coded. Some of them have a little bit of a mix of that, but
yeah, we actually had a discussion about this. I was brought up by Tier about how we should actually redefine what it means to have AI, and what does that look like in a bot. We had a pretty good discussion about it. I'm actually post on YouTube shortly. It was impromptu, but yeah, we actually do have T-Bone has a little bit of machine learning. Was that correct? I can't remember. Was it machine learning?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were looking at a couple, and one of them was like machine learning to make decisions.
Yeah.
So it was like, choosing a path based on it's machine learning assessment, but it wasn't making like individual actions on a machine learning basis.
Yeah. So it's So T-Bone, I think right now is probably the only bot that I know of right now, but we don't know. These other bots can surprise us. Yuri has no information, has no weaknesses. Maybe it's ultimate. It is the ultimate bot, and we're about to find out. So, all right. So I guess we'll actually kick it off to you guys because we're about to get started. I'm gonna go back in the background.
All right. Bye. We'll talk to you later. So you notice in that too, we are allowing map vetoes now too. Micro Machine has vetoed a couple. Yuri didn't pick any. I forget what they were now. Grevin and
Gresvin, yeah, is one.
Yeah, Grevin, and I forget the other one, but one of them.
Me too. Yeah.
Anyway,
well, that's interesting. They're at least picking vetoes, so that's something.
Okay. Yeah.
And,
so
here, speaking of vetoes, here's our actual map lineup.
Site Delta.
Yep. So just one Reaper jump in, ramp with the natural. It's a very defensive 2-base sort of map. Followed by Equilibrium, where you got the 2 northern spawns, which always changes things up quite a bit from the standard corner spawns. And then good old Golden Aura, which you've seen a bunch of.
Indeed, yeah.
I have a feeling we won't see Golden Aura though. Well,
no, I don't.
See what Yuri can pull off, but
I was going to say that as well. I don't anticipate it, but we'll see. You never know. Again, when we get the newer bots in, and we don't have a lot of information on Yuri or what he's going to do or anything like that, but you can often get the new ones in that end up being very cheesy, and then maybe sometimes that sort of surprising a new cheese ends up being the thing that can take out one of the veterans if they. And you always have the little bit of that disadvantage of someone coming in at least can know, like they maybe have watched Micro Machine for like 4 or 5 years, do basically similar stuff and seen ways to counter that and things like that. So
there is a new author in the scene, I think, who just submitted their bot and immediately beat my bot on the line.
Yeah.
So yeah, you put some cheese together and you'll find weaknesses in these standard bots.
Yeah, the way to go for sure. But yeah, we'll find out when we get in there. And
again, C++ was interesting. I haven't seen the C++ bot since Micro Machine, I guess, at least not in ProBots. So I didn't even know the C++ framework was still functioning. So
we'll see if it is. Yeah, presumably must be if he qualified. But always interesting. You get slight differences when it's in different languages and whatever. But let's jump in and see how she goes.
Micro Machine. Yuri.
And Micro Machine, by the way, for the first time ever, has changed the graphic to something totally different. It's always been the Micro Machine guy in different settings, but now it's a different graphic.
Yeah, I think there's like a Hearthstone card called
Yeah.
Micro Machine, and you use the image for that. For a few
Yeah, I think
seasons,
that's what it was.
And then it's slowly
Yeah.
morphed. It still kind of has that look and feel to it, though, with the
Yeah,
computer screen for a head.
it almost looks like somebody went to like Dolly or something and said, "Can you draw me the Micro Machine from Hearthstone?" And then that's what it did in its little AI thing. Which kind of makes sense. Instead of like we sometimes use the generic cards if someone hasn't submitted a portrait, we should do that. We should just tell the thing, "Can you design a bot named this?" and see what it gives us.
Yeah, I used AI for my portrait. I figured it's
Oh yeah, yeah,
appropriate, you know.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does decent stuff. Like there's certain things it cannot do. I couldn't for the life of me get an AI art thing to put darts in a dartboard. It would like put a dartboard up and put darts next to it. It just couldn't get the concept, like no matter how much you tried to explain it. But yeah, but it's decent for some stuff.
I think I just wrote like Raven robot, and so
Yeah,
makes
makes
what came
sense.
up with it. Messed around with the different styles.
Good enough. So Micro Machine poking in here with the Reaper as it tends to do. We'll scout and see that nothing is at the natural, and we've got Adepts coming across.
Yeah, that's a good weapon to have versus Reapers. Pretty good
Or
at taking them
are
down
they
quickly.
actually? Yeah. He's sending out like the shade, but he's not completing it or anything. It's kind of staying.
Yeah, I mean that's something a bot can
Yeah.
definitely do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not doing anything with the Adept, why not just improve your vision a little bit
Yeah.
by firing that thing out constantly? Kind of reminds me of how like Storm Host waves back in Heart of the Storm would always
Yeah.
give you vision like well beyond your base, just by having like random locusts running in all directions. Here comes a push now, though. Let's see if this
Really let this
Adept
complete?
Shade actually finishes this
Yeah.
time. No, I think he just always using it when it's off cooldown, and then
Yeah.
at the last moment deciding whether to actually complete it or not, which is a a decent, simple way of coding it that is effective.
Stalker will take a peek up. There's no bunker or anything like that protecting. A little bit of damage, but not much. And
Yeah. This ramp of the natural is actually very good for the Taran player, although he's fallen back in the ramp. Stalkers in the hands of bots can do a very good job versus Marines when they don't have stim yet.
I think the shade is actually throwing him a little bit, that he's playing like zone in case he needs to chase the shade down.
Yeah, it is hard to code against the shade.
Yeah.
I remember -0 was actually very, very good with the depths, and I'd basically chase the shades in like the last 2 seconds of the timer, but you'd have to kind of
Oh, yeah.
guess the timer because you couldn't see it in the API.
Yeah,
So-
he doesn't know when it starts. Yeah, exactly.
You should know, because humans know. You can see the bar
Yeah.
on top of your opponent, but it's just not in the API for us, unfortunately. Cyclo getting out here is going to help a lot versus these Stalkers, so they're not going to get that free pot damage on the Marines anymore.
Yeah, and I think that and the tank up top, which he wasn't fully appreciating, was hitting the occasional unit. So he got some damage done in terms of Marine kills, even some SCV kills, 5 of them, but because he didn't start his own base at home or anything, he's not ahead from it. He's behind on workers still.
Yeah, and yeah, with the Cyclone out, the safety siege tank to fall back to, and now the Marines are able to repair all that little chip damage they're taking from the Stalkers. It's going to be a large issue here for Yuri. Now, this is a very tough map for him just because that ramp keeps screwing him over, but yeah, we'll have to see. I do like his retention of the Stalkers. He's not really losing them, so that
Yeah.
number will keep growing. Maybe it'll become an issue once the Stalker count gets like 20 or something.
Yeah, if he could trap, well, the Cyclone there, he almost did. It got stuck in front of the Marines. but now it retreats a little too far, and these are kind of going to die.
Yeah, Banshee on the field now.
Banshee.
Cloak is about 3/4 of the way done, so I don't suspect you're going to be seeing any detection out of Yuri. Yuri's looks like he's very one-track mind bot,
Yeah.
early in duration, so it makes a nice little 4-gate stalker all in. And yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing any observers.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Tank was moving right as those came up the ramp, but now he's in a much better position. It's going to be hard to get back up there again with it taking shots, although he unsieges randomly again.
Yeah, every time the stalkers leave
Yeah.
range, the unsieges. But that might be because he's trying to go to the low ground, which could be a mistake. I do like that it's up there.
Now here
However,
comes
with
the
that
cloak.
said, there's the cloak. Yeah.
Yeah, he was lucky to have gotten the first one before the cloak had finished. But yeah, now this is probably going to shut it down, and I don't know if there's a second gear for Yuri.
Yeah, and that stalker count is not getting bigger as I was hoping for Yuri. Look, seems to be getting smaller now, and I suspect even those mineral patches are starting to disappear at home.
Yeah, and Micro Machine is often really good at this sort of thing of it's often on the offense, and you're kind of holding it off, and then the next thing comes,
Mhm.
usually being like the Cloak Banshees or something like that. But in this case, on the defensive side, still had that just hold out until the next wave of thing comes, and now he goes on the offense. And he's good at not really losing the heavy things, so he lost some Marines and stuff like that, but you're accumulating tanks. You're sending a lot of damaged Banshees home, things like that.
And we do see that adaptive decision making that Micro Machine was talking about in his description, as with the tanks and the Marauders, the concussive shell, the Banshee, all very, very good weapons versus Mass Stalker.
Sight blocker here is going to create some interesting situations because he, of course, doesn't know that the tanks are there until he pokes his head through.
Yeah.
But Micro Machine does have vision because of the medevac.
Yeah, just very, very clean out of Micro Machine. Took a little bit of damage in the early
There's
portion
a
of the
couple-
attacks. Losing some SCVs, but
Yeah,
not a big
couple
issue when you're up
points
to
that
bases to
look
1.
dangerous. Yeah, if he had lost like a tank or something at any point, then it might have been a little scarier. But it didn't really look like there was a point that Yuri was going to break past like the ramp into the main. It would just be like get the high ground. But it was kind of always inevitable
Oh boy,
he'd
that's
lose it. Yeah,
dangerous.
that's happened.
That's a bad sign. Yeah, I think Micro Machine, he likes to put this siege tank, we'll say, on the point of his main base, like whatever that forward most corner position is.
Yeah.
So I could see a world where that initial adept can grant the high ground vision, and then the tank is in that vulnerable position right on the edge. So there's probably a world where those stalkers can take down the tank, and then maybe things could turn around. Because, yeah, without that tank to fall back to, Micro Machine was a little bit weak at the start. Just unupgraded Marines versus Mass Stalker, Cloak, a couple of minutes off still in the Banshee, so there's an opportunity there. There's a window.
Yeah, and you brought up the idea that there's a ramp up to the natural on a different map where there wasn't, and he had vision the whole time. It could be different. So we'll potentially see that. We're going on to the Equilibrium, it's called, that has the two up the top. I'm trying to think, that does still have a ramp to the natural. I think
Site Delta is actually the only map in the human or bot map pool that has a ramp to the natural. That's actually a rare feature now.
Yeah.
So Equilibrium is just a choke point. There's no ramp.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, some of them now do. I think more standard now is like there's kind of to the high ground, but it's way further out, so you can stage out there.
Yeah,
Like
you can
that
stage
sort
up
of
between
thing.
like the
Yeah.
natural and the third. There's usually some.
Yeah.
There's some ramp somewhere, but it's
Yeah.
not like directly in front of the natural base anymore. They kind of got rid of that idea.
Yeah.
Open up the game a little bit more, I suppose.
Indeed. Too defensive. Too many bunker shield battery type things to do.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll jump on over to game number 2. Oh, they just see. I was trying to time it out to finish my sentence when the clock went to 0, and then the clock changed.
You gotta have an adaptive sentence. Like
Yeah.
at any moment in time, you
That's
gotta be
it.
able to add 30 seconds to your sentence.
That's it. I did in a way by going meta and mentioning that my sentence should be longer. But it didn't quite work. But I think, and now it's not. That's not in real time. I'm seeing it move in weird ways. But I think we're at the soon now, and maybe we're ready for game number 2. Let's hop in if we are.
Micro Machine. Yuri.
Yeah, so it looks like another similar setup here for Yuri. I think we're going to be seeing that 48 once again. I'm already trying to like decide how good of a map this is going to be. So it doesn't have the ramp into the natural, but I think it has a very good siege tank position. I'm just trying to think of how close that corner is to the choke point. If it's just wailing on like the natural choke point, that's going to be a big issue for Yuri. And it's also far away from the ramp, so even the Adept Shade wouldn't be able to grant vision of the tank.
Yeah, true. Yeah, if it gets up to that like forward spike. Although there's also then room along the bottom that if the stalkers come in and kind of take the bottom path, they can get behind at least the natural mineral line. But yeah, at some point you have to break into the base because you're 1 base to 2. Here, the Reaper, a little more offensive early.
Yeah, not really a response. Okay, the Adept Shade is chasing it, but it doesn't complete.
Yeah,
he wants to keep his units at the ramp, and that's his problem.
Yeah. You can keep the Zealot there. Just move your Adept.
I like how the Shade is at least doing something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's buying time. He's getting the Stalker out. Hopefully that one at least goes inside and tries to deal with this.
The nice thing is he's already oversaturated his main base anyway, so it's not a big deal if he loses a probe or 2. And now with the Stalkers down, they're willing to vacate the wall, and they're chasing down the Reaper. A lot of Stalkers out now. He's going to get completely sandwiched and a nice little pick-off. So already a nice little bonus over the previous match. I think that was worth losing. Oh, that was 4 probes? Okay, maybe not, but
yeah.
At least there's one less Reaper when he does arrive. And that siege tank is almost there. It will be out in time.
Something I think it might do by accident too is if you remember in the first game, he sent they just went in the order they were built. So 1 Stalker was way in front. This is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So they grouped up because they were spending time killing that. Now they left together. Before one went in, kind of lost its shields and everything. But standing in the tank fire instead is probably not better.
Yeah, that is a very, very good tank position.
Yeah.
So I thought Site Delta was good for Micro Machine. This map might be even better. However, its Stalkers are going home, it looks like. Or maybe they just found that Marine that was out scouting for ninja bases. Oh, that's such a good tank position.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way to even get vision of that. I think if you put a... Yeah, depth shade on the ramp isn't even close to getting vision of that. Shade vision is not large at all.
Yeah, that's devastating.
And now the medevac's out, so all that marine damage is going to be all for naught. Now the question is, can...
Get the Cyclone either. One more shot would have done it. But now he's just in and out of tank fire and really doesn't even know where it's coming from.
This is nice. Getting a lot of free shots on these marines here. Only so much one medevac can do. But even if he kills all those marines, I still don't really see the method of pushing in.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those situations where a human would just instantly adapt to this, and there's so much room here. You can go at it in a different angle, but it just can't.
Yeah. I do see why Yuri made the tournament, though. This is, you know, it's a pretty decent build. There's a lot of units for this early in the game that he was able to produce. And the Stalker Micro is good, I would say.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, and
doesn't
if it was-
understand the high ground siege tank, for instance, but the actual micro
Yeah.
itself against like Marines and Marauders, it's perfectly fine to me. It even does a good job of preserving shields and regenerating them.
Yeah, you can easily see if that tank wasn't up there, this game could be over.
Actually, that's one thing Yuri does I think a lot of bots don't do, is it's aware of how the shield regen works. How like shields don't regenerate until you haven't taken damage for a certain period of time. So when he loses all of his shields, the stalker will go way back, hang out in the background for a while, wait for the shields to regen, then rejoin.
It almost reminds me of, I think it's Zozo that does it, the worker rush micro.
Yeah, that's the only time you really see it done is when it's the probe rush. The probes that never die.
Yeah.
All these poor stalkers. I think his bot's broken. There's no micro going on anymore. Okay, there we go.
Maybe it just literally doesn't know what to do if it's being shot by invisible things.
Oh, it was probably trying to target the Banshee, and it didn't realize that it was impossible because it was cloaked.
Yeah.
Because you can still see the unit in the API, because it's just a cloaked unit, so you can't do anything to it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the hardest things with all AIs of all kinds is it's hard to simulate not seeing something or like vaguely seeing it. Like you just can't.
Yeah.
So like something can be cloaked, but there's no such thing as I don't see it. It's a binary I do or I don't sort of thing. That's always been a problem with chess and stuff. It's actually harder to simulate a bad player than it is to make like a GM bot.
Yeah,
Because
I can imagine that.
it can't literally miss something. It has to decide to not see something.
Yeah, you could have some sort of random generation for that, but that wouldn't mimic, what tricks humans and what doesn't.
Yeah,
because it's not really
exactly
random
it.
for humans.
Yeah, it randomly picks worse moves, but that all it does is it plays like a GM and then gives you a rook. Like that's basically how a lot of them end up working. They've gotten better, but that's still kind of what it is. So pretty dominant from Micro Machine in both of these, but you can definitely see, like at least in this one, you got to see what Yuri was going to do because he got to do it. And you could definitely see that that would work against a lot of bots. That was a lot of sustained pressure with good micro. So you could definitely see that just overwhelming a lot of bots.
Yeah, I could see Yuri being a lot of trouble for other new bots. He's got a solid defense at the start with the wall off and the zealot and the adept, and then a massive stalker pressure to follow.
And the prediction was correct. No golden aura. We'll not see map number 3. But there, Yuri gets a strike through his name.
Maybe in the next match.
Yeah, but again, not out yet. We'll go down to the losers bracket to seek salvation, I guess. Redemption, I suppose.
Face the loser of our next match, which is Sharkbot and Mini Testic.
Mini Testic P, who's maybe not really a P. So I alluded to that earlier. So it appears to be, it entered as Mini Testic P, indicating it's Protoss and registered as a Protoss, but apparently has the occasional error where it's not Protoss. So we believe that the reality is that this is a random bot that was given a limitation of like, okay, in this tournament just play Protoss, but it's not doing that. So we'll have to see. I don't know what it will have randomly chose for this map, but we were told that it may change, and I don't know if it's completely random or if it like fails sometimes to select it or what, but we'll find out. But can we grab the stats for these two? Sharkbot has been around for a while, but Mini Testic is new to us. Got Sharkbot coded in C# and hard coded. Check out that hard body on the shark. Strategy is to follow his gut, like all computers do. They have abs of steel on the outside, but my gut is full of stinky cheese. Is a very cheesy bot off and on, but can play macro games too. But yeah, literally just, this is probably one of our trollier bots at this point. I think Tier used to have that title, but Sharkbot a little more weaknesses. Bugs, eat them before they eat you. And
That's like a good
referring to
minigame.
Zerg. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, special. Remember, yes. So this is another thing. If you're new to us, Sharkbot started out as a chatbot, and then somehow learned to play StarCraft. We're still looking into how. There you go. Started as a StarCraft Brood War chatbot, which
I didn't know it was a Brood War chatbot.
I didn't know that part until we read this either. I thought it was just because it's on a website somewhere. You can go find Sharkbot. So I didn't know it had anything to do with Brood War, but yeah, there you go. So it evolved into a StarCraft 2 player.
If I remember anything from Brood War Ladder, I
Yeah.
think I know the reason why Sharkbot learned to be racist.
that makes sense. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, it did once. At least I think our filter caught it, but it will occasionally call you racial slurs if you play it. If you play it, I don't know if that's been fixed or whether that can be fixed, but it will do that from time to time.
I think even Microsoft's version of
Yeah.
ChatGPT was like became very racist somehow.
A lot of them do that. Yeah, it did that Twitter bot first. Tay, I think, was its first try, and it became like instantly racist. And they all do that, and then they overcompensate and do the other weird thing where they're like, "Show me a senator from the 1800s," and it's all like black guys. You're like, "Well, that's not right either." So it's hard to fix because people are trying to break it. That's the other thing. People are trying to make it do things. But Sharkbot just does it on its own. So we are. You'll probably see some of the chatting in the game. Hopefully, it doesn't say anything too offside, but it does kind of respond to what some of the other bots will say, even if they're just kind of giving out basic information and not actually talking. But jumping into game, go ahead. You get.
No, go ahead.
Go.
Let's do it.
Okay, go on.
Sharkbot. Mini Testic.
All right, announcing that it's not an all-in, but we can see that it probably is.
Oh wow, this is actually somewhat new. We have a bot who's actually protecting their first cannon. Anything train related is super difficult to decode for this. So the idea of doing a cannon rush like a human, where like you're always tucking the cannon into corners and surrounding it with pylons and stuff, that's extremely difficult to do in the bot meta, which is why our bots cannon rushes have always been so lackluster in the past.
Yeah, there's been attempts. There's been Doogie was interesting. Doogie Howitzer, which was a machine learning based cannon rushing bot, which was terrible but fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some. I think some have just like hard coded directly. I know that Tier had done something where it went behind the mineral line and just blocked with pylons, but I think it was very much like put it exactly here, like it wasn't adaptive.
Yeah, well, it might have been. I saw
Yeah,
like
I'm not sure. It was on it. Yeah,
it would make like a little V with two pylons, and then it'd stuff the cannon behind the V. So it was never like done very well, but it was done well enough that you could probably only get like 3 or 4 workers attacking the cannon, which can confuse the bots. I do really like this build out of Sharkbot though. I assume this is going to turn into proxy Stargate play, and whether the opponent's on 1 base or 2 bases, that's a beautiful spot to start it off with, containing your opponent and giving yourself a launching pad to push that in. And on top of that, he's going to have shield battery overcharge as an availability as he's taking the forward Nexus. I love it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, this sort of like slow push thing was really popular against like Zerg because you start far out. You're not really looking to cannon rush onto the creep, but you make immortals and stuff and just push onto it. But yeah, against Protoss, you can kind of just get a defensive position, get up to like Void Rays or Tempest, have a big fallback point, and yeah, it works quite well. But here, a bunch of stalkers coming down, maybe a little too early for it. If they kind of knew where to focus fire, I think this would be more dangerous.
Yeah, but I mean, there's
yeah.
really no good target to focus fire until the shield batteries are drained anyways. So.
Yeah. Well, if they had shot down that one shield battery itself, that probably would have been a good start. But yeah, it's
yeah. Sharkbot's good with his shield battery micro though. He'll repair one shield battery with
yeah.
another shield battery. Oh my gosh, he's got the super overcharge.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Shooting units under production is good though. I like that. You can't repair a unit that's not or structure that's not complete.
This is just a dance battle. This is
that's exactly what it was.
This is just weird. I don't know how they got up there or what happened, but that happened.
Hey, are you implying that's not a real type of battle? Because
it is. It is. These are trapped.
Oh, trapped. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that earlier with the two buildings alone, and then another planet went down and definitely trapped them. Is this guy like returning from the north? Okay, can you get that one battery? Finish it. No. No deal.
No, yeah. I think he's like outnumbered in stalkers now. So it's like you're behind the stalkers plus you're facing a whole bunch of cannons and shield batteries. He was able to drain the batteries, which is nice.
Yeah.
This is killing them. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got that's he definitely at least would have taken out the first building. I mean, whether you break through, probably not still. But yeah, that was down to 8 hit points, as you can see there.
I'm just loving this build out of Sharkbot though. I love the proxy nexus. It's my favorite part of the build.
Yeah.
It's probably not efficient at all, but it's my favorite part.
Oh, he's at least mining from it.
Yeah.
So that's a big plus. It's guarded pretty well. If you could shoot from the high ground, if he kind of knew to do that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But he doesn't. But yeah, unfortunately, this positioning has killed him. It at least would have been more competitive. Like at the point that he got outnumbered, he wouldn't have been outnumbered at that moment. He maybe would have got like a building, but that's a lot of shield batteries. We're still not kind of hitting like phase 2, so it feels like maybe this is it. But that's enough shield batteries that it works.
Yeah, I think if he went, maybe Immortals will work, but if he went Stargate, he might have gotten overrun. Because Mini Testic did send out quite a few stalkers quite early. Even with probably some of them getting trapped, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do favor the Immortal side because of exactly that, of like the precise thing you need to overcome this position is hard countered by the Immortal. Not that it's not a little bit by the Void Ray too, but much stronger by the Immortal side. But then the Void Rays can play on the cliff a lot more. So eventually it'll be funny at some point if he kills a building and unleashes the like 8 trap stalkers, but
Did you ever see that clip from years ago where there's a way to trap hatchery eggs?
Yeah,
and
I did see that.
The egg would finish, but it wouldn't be enough space to spawn the Ultralisk.
Yeah.
So someone trapped like 50 eggs with Ultralisk inside them, and then as soon as the hatchery died, like 50 Ultralisk jumped out and
Yeah, I remember that.
just walked across the whole map and killed everything.
Yeah, you had to like build it against the wall or something so that they like spawn. Yeah. Weird.
I'd love to see Roboplay added to this for Sharkbot. Not only would the Immortals be nice, but Sharkbot has really nice Warp Prism micro, either with Immortals or with Stalkers.
Yeah, that would work well.
He had that one season where he was like tearing Eris apart with Warp Prisms full of Stalkers. He was down like 12 bases to 2, so it didn't matter, but the micro itself was actually very, very strong.
Kind of interested that Mini Testic is even holding this long. He should. I think it's partially because Sharkbot's so cautious. Every time the shield regens, he goes or loses, he goes all the way back.
Yeah.
To regroup.
Yeah, and I like that
But-
theory too. Like as soon as the Talker runs out of shields, he goes back to the battery, and then once everyone makes it back to the batteries and refills, it starts the next wave.
I think he's now got some wrapped around the backside of the mineral line, which speed up the end. He kept getting baited into where there's, a bunch of trap stalkers.
Doesn't look like there's a third base in the plan for Sharkbot. So future reference, it does have to win on 2 bases.
Yeah, there. He's only lost 1. That's crazy.
Yeah, and even the mining from that base, I kind of like it, at least in the bot meta. I mean, a human obviously would just put a unit on the high ground and deny that mining.
Yeah.
But again, not something simple for a bot to do. It requires understanding terrain and high ground and things like that. Vision. And I think we'll finally see the death of this pocket of stalkers. Although it's going to take another wave. I think Sharkbot's... No, he's coming back again. Okay. I thought he was going to go back and regenerate once more.
Yep, pretty good. Yeah, I would like to see that run back without the block. But yeah, pretty good, pretty entertaining, pretty cheesy. Good stuff. Still don't know how this developed, but it's excellent.
The real battle is who won that fight, though.
Yeah. Yeah, just good overall control by Mini Testic, and it is hard to know, like when you're in that sort of situation against building in front of your face, like what to target fire down, what to prioritize. Like, and again, it's often as the person you could be like, well, I want to destroy any forward cannon. Look at which pylons are powering what, like that sort of thing. But it's hard to make that, like you've got a bunch of competing priorities there. On what to do, and usually the answer is I'll just hit the closest thing. But I think he was targeting some stuff that was building on purpose.
There's probably some sense of focus firing built into the bot. It may not understand the shield battery dynamic to it, but I don't think that's a big deal. I think Sharkbot's so good at the shield batteries that you're not going to kill anything until you drain the batteries anyways. So just shoot anything just to drain the shield batteries. And then from that point forward, the focus firing really matters. But yeah, I did like the response at Mini Testing. It was actually looking good for him for a little bit. And I think without the trapped stalkers, he might have been able to break through.
Yeah.
Like that fight started, what was like 5 stalkers against 2 or something like that? Yeah. It's very one-sided. And 2 gateways against 1 as well.
Yes, quite. Yeah, and he was very close to kill. Like he was literally 1 shot from taking out the most forward shield battery.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there were tons more, but there wasn't actually that much cannon support to it. I think there were only like 2 cannons there.
Yeah, 2 cannons, 2 batteries.
Yeah.
And 2 stalkers versus like 6 stalkers or something. And the cannons were more or less out of the fight.
So we'll see on the next map, hard lead or hard lead, because lead is soft. But maybe that's why it's notable.
It's a there's a different universe, and in the StarCraft universe, it's known that lead is hard. I already see 2 probes leaving. Make that 3. Okay, we could be seeing the same build again, or maybe something new.
That one that came back, yeah, that one was just building.
Mini
I think I'm talking
Testic.
about the interest too, but
I just realized that. Yep.
Yeah. But that's often the case. See, the cheese often starts before the intros are done, and we have to say something. That's pretty. I guess I want to say it's pretty far away. It's not that far away, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like a similar location to last time. Just kind of outside the natural, close enough to contain them on 2 bases.
Yeah, it just looked like it, but yeah, that's it. Maybe
it is much
be
further
more
away from the
direct.
main base, however, this time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking for Stargate play, but he's not going to be doing Stargate, is he?
Yeah, probably not. And also the location. Oh yeah, I was thinking he would put his base at the 3rd, but he'll put it at that base, of course.
And yeah,
So,
like you said, this is not Protoss, by the way.
yeah,
we kind of missed the
right.
glaring difference here.
Right. Okay. Good point. Good point. Not a P, but a T.
And this
Yeah.
go-
So then, how this may be good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to have just as many units. It'll be Marines instead of Stalkers. However, unupgraded Marines versus Stalkers with bot micro is not good for Marines at all. So he's really going to have to overwhelm that position quickly. Is that a 4th and 5th barracks I'm seeing? I think so. It's reminding me of my 7 racks all in. My bot does sometimes. And okay, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah,
Don't want to be fighting cannons like that. But he got dragged over there. I don't think he's going to volunteer to make that attack. No, he is. Okay. Yeah, so I like the idea of jumping this early while you have the army advantage, but yeah, you got to at least have enough to kill a single cannon before you start that attack.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Marines do not have recharging shields. They sometimes literally carry a shield, but it doesn't do anything.
My prediction is he's going to get that cannon low just in time for the first shield battery to finish and recharge it back to full.
Sounds right. Now, this is a lot of barracks, which we shouldn't underestimate, but if they don't accumulate anywhere, then that's not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there comes the first battery.
It's tough, especially if your bot decides that, you know, this is like a really bad threat that you need to address immediately. Then it's, you know, like if an army is in your base, you want to attack it with everything you got instantly, and that's kind of might be the logic that's going on here. This is why bunker contains are so strong and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's not where I thought he was going to put the Nexus. I was first thinking the base down there, but that's too far. Then I was like, the base to the left. He just chose neither. It's just way back here.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that other base is actually perfect. No threat to the mining being interrupted there either.
Yeah.
And it's even closer to overcharge. But
it's just in an arbitrary
he's just saying this is not an expansion nexus. Let me be clear, this nexus is for overcharge only, because I'm a baller.
It's a shame then that like this wasn't like the Protoss again, because while the Taran had some potential, the fact that he's behaving so differently with his Taran than he is a Protoss, like there's no micro in this, there's no grouping up, there's no defensive mindedness to it. It's just all out attack.
Yeah, well, I like the micro actually. He's always stutter stepping forward, which is what you want to do versus stalkers, rather than stutter stepping back. But like you said, the logic to accumulate was not there. Yeah. And he might have been okay too if the probes didn't lead him back to the cannons, because I don't think he even knew they existed. Yeah. But the probes are like, "Oh no, come take a look at this," and then that was the end of this. Are those the same 2 probes? Has he not even killed a probe yet?
I don't think so.
Oh boy. I thought he at least got a probe kill. Soccer's cornered a little bit, maybe? No. Oh, got pretty low.
This is his one like chance if he somehow like accidentally accumulates at the top of the ramp because he's being attacked. But Sharkbot backing up is stopping that from happening.
Yeah, I'd like to see the units loss tab. Are we threatening a perfect game here? Or has there been a loss? I feel like it could be a perfect game.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know if there has been. Can we get it up? Units loss tab. Okay.
Oh, okay, so the probes did go down.
And those two.
Shame on you, Sharkbot.
No control.
How can you let that happen?
No control.
All right, well done.
Yeah.
Cool build.
Pretty good, pretty good. So we at least get to see 2 races there. So yeah, I don't know whether his like Taran is undercooked. It probably like something tells me if he's not being rushed, like obviously responding with that many racks, that was probably the plan anyway. and then he was gonna make some sort of 6 like massive racks push, but I don't know. But then get stuck on offense. Who knows? We got a quick 2-0 there, but in style. And yeah, pretty much probably what we expected. But I like that we did get to really see kind of what he was capable of. And again, mini test the P side at least. I think that Stalker Control does have a lot of potential. And
I'm really looking forward to the next 2 matches in this group, though.
Yeah.
Micro Machine, the bot with no holes, and Sharkbot, the bot who always finds the hole.
Yeah.
And then 2 Protosses that just power out a ton of units and have nice micro.
Yeah.
That'll be a very even matchup.
Yeah, that'll be a pretty interesting, like Stalker fight, or pretty cool. So I think we are going to a break for 5 minutes, and we'll be back with the match 2 and 3. So check out ProBotsAI.com. And if you want to support us, become a member of some kind that we do.
It's not Patreon anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know what it is now. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, there's some good content there. You get the nice artwork, and there's these post-spot episodes that are really interesting.
Indeed, yeah, those are quite good if you want to get really in depth with like the authors of these things and talk about code stuff. And of course, check out SC2. I always mess this because it's 2 of them. AIarena.net.
Perfect.
Yeah, AIarena.net. And what was the other? It was SC2. Okay. Yeah, either way, they go to the same place anyway. So yeah, AIarena.net to check out the latter. And we'll be back in 5 minutes. Hello. We are back here for a match number 3 of the night, Group D. Up, we've got Eris versus Mini Taran, who, despite having a similar name to Mini Testic, is not mini. It's just different minis. Everything's small. Eris is a mini planet, kind of a dwarf planet, if you will, and Mini Taran is just a small Taran.
They gotta go like Zoe when he was doing all like quick builds. He called it evil, not mini.
Yeah. It's the way to be. Okay, here we randomly have our format again. We've got the group stage, which is 4 groups of 4 that each play a double elim, with the top 2 advancing onto our playoff stage, which would be single elim, quarterfinals best of 3, semis best of 5, and finals best of 7. And also at our grand finals, we always do the humans versus ProBots extravaganza. And here's our stuff so far tonight. So Micro Machine advancing over Yuri, Sharkbot over over Mini Testic, and then those 2 will play in the winners and losers respectively. Oh, it's back. And so we got Mini Eris versus Mini Taran is going to be match number 3, followed by Zozo against Clicka, which just means click. So I don't know why they took that long. It's just click in Portuguese.
I remember
Clicka G.
Yeah,
there we go. Clicka G.
Some sort of DJ sort of sound.
Yeah, it's whatever. Yeah, Portuguese maybe makes sense. I don't know. It's the Welsh does that, where like the D's are just whatever you want, and there's 3 of them in a row.
Wild card letter.
Yeah, that's when they're a G sound, whatever. But yeah, it's just the word click as far as I know in Portuguese. But Eris versus Mini Taran, if we could get those graphics and stats up to take a look. Eris is a longtime repeat champion.
Yeah, he's definitely the god of the ladder with some crazy win rate. Let me just look it up right now.
High. Very high.
A 90.2% win rate. Next best bot is only at 70%. So, or no, 79%, I should say.
Yeah, pretty dominant there. Yeah, it kind of runs on an ELO system. And that's even with the idea of like they're bracketed, right? So like there's a high bracket or high division, low division. and so he's like 92% against like the good ones. So it's kind of wild there too. Mini Taran we don't know as much about, but let's take a look at the side by side here. Eris with so many championship banners, it would make a Leafs fan jealous. And yeah, 6. I think this one too is a little wrong. 6 appearance. Maybe it is 6 appearances
I think that's
because of
right,
the variations of him. So he's won half the time. Basically, is the point. Yeah. Reactive above question sucks. Just because a bot is not using machine learning doesn't make it hard. See, good point. Good point. Just because it's not using machine learning doesn't mean it's hard coded. Is certainly true. Weakness, long-term cost efficiency in some matchups, probably true. Eris doesn't really tend to lose end games though. Generally, if you're going to take Eris out, it was early. Special generic, not hard-coded solutions allows reactive play to various scenarios, and it makes a good point of like, yeah, it's not hard-coded like along one path. It's making decisions to then follow different processes on the way. But
yeah, I think we used to use the term scripted, but then that also doesn't sound like it's like a bot that's making calculations. It's like, oh, it's not actually a bot, it's just following a script. It's like
exactly, yeah, like the way
basically, yeah, these are programmed bots that do like to make their own calculations. It's just not deep neural network machine learning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's many other ways to calculate things to make decisions. And yeah, little information there on Mini Taran. Going to be starting on Gresvin yet again. I like these map thingies. They remind me of like old school base trade for some reason.
Is that a dog?
That is a dog.
Nice.
I think so. I like the water on this one. I never notice it when we're in the game, but it looks cool on these like thingies.
So here's a fun fact: if you repeatedly select a critter on the map, it'll actually blow up. I think if you click it 12 times in a row. I tried to actually do that with my bot.
Oh yeah.
But then I realized between those 12 clicks, my bot is also doing like hundreds of other clicks. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's not going to work.
That would be tough. Yeah, you'd have to do it like right away.
But there was a map that came out once that had like 5 like critter bots all around your main base and natural base, and it would cost pros so many games. They tried to like place an emergency structure, and it would just the critter would block it. It was so bad.
Nice. I like there were some air ones too that you just kind of see come through, and you just assume it's a drop and like overreact to it and like stuff like that. So
yeah, there's almost like a flying ghost whale that just hovers over your natural base. Every time I see that, I freak out.
Yeah, it's very weird. I think we're ready to jump in now. Let's look for that dog. These are generic.
Eris. Mini Taran.
Was it? Yeah, I thought so. You need a song to go along with it.
All right. So we have a quick 3 base out of Eris. Kind of known for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I see that as a human StarCraft 2 player, I'm like, oh, that's just easily abusable. And then you try and you get your clock cleaned. Nice. Eris is very good at defending. He will adjust accordingly and do a good job with that. So the 3 hatch actually isn't that dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh, drone's kind of getting stuck though. However.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, air is really, really good at like stalling you out. It will feel like you're making progress, and you're not. It's just not quite happening fast enough.
Yeah, not actually building spores or anything to save those drones. He lost 1 drone. He definitely could have lost a couple more there. So some minor weaknesses being shown in the bot that's traditionally not had many. I think Tier's had some success in the past just doing like a big Hellion run by as well. Killing a bunch of workers.
Yeah, there are proper ways to exploit. One of the more fundamental ways to get taken out once by -0 was the Adept just constantly moving, constantly harassing Adepts, and it could just never fully stabilize to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, -0's Adepts. Oh my god, I have nightmares about those things. I always felt it like a moral victory if I could die to Tempest when I faced -0. So yes, I survived long enough for Tempest to come out. But yeah, looking so far so good at mini turn. I like the build order, getting a decent army count up. Starport is on the way, 2 racks and stim and +1. Or combat, sorry, concussive shell and +1, I should say. However, there will be that difficult thing that Zerg has, which is the burrow micro.
Yeah.
Always makes them extremely difficult to deal with in the early game until you can get some ravens out or something.
Yeah, we've almost never not seen that be like efficient. Like, especially when you get the roaches and stuff like that, they just regen so quick. They screw with the AI so much that things just pop up and down, and saving your workers, saving everything. It just ends up being like super useful.
Yeah, and it's not the most difficult thing to code, but it's like very, very strong, and it's something humans cannot do.
For sure. Especially when you kind of burrow things and then they try and advance, and then you got things popping up in their back line. And yeah, just very confusing for them.
Yeah, I once learned how strong it was when I was playing a 2v2, and my partner had a bunch of weak roaches burrowed, and I brought my medevac over to repair them. And the medevac would not repair them, it refused to. I'm like, why is that? Because they're burrowed? And it's actually because the medevac can't heal as fast as roaches can heal themselves. So they heal so fast that they outpace the medevac healing. Reaper doing a good job though. Not only getting a couple kills, but is keeping track of the army size of Eris and the base count, and even killing off some fresh creep tumors, as we saw.
And creep is still spreading on the south side a bit as Eris continues to expand. Eris's overall supply definitely ahead, but mini Taran is still poking in and accumulating it back there.
Yeah, that's a little surprising. I was hoping with being 2 base to 4, that means he'd be able to put on a lot of pressure with a larger army size. But well, I mean, the army is a lot of roaches though. Roaches are not costly units, so. Yeah. Maybe the higher tech of the Terran army will do well. And in fact, with the Raven on the way and the upgrades and stim and +2, I could see this working against just like roaches and lake zerglings.
It feels like it should, and this is where I think we may end up then seeing like the Eris stall out sort of thing. That I think as this army starts to move, we're going to see it encounter a lot of lings everywhere and get pulled this way and that. We're going to see it kind of engage. Like, I think it's just never going to make a lot of progress, even though it could.
Yeah, it depends how much of it commits. Eris is very, very good at swinging around behind with the Zerglings and finding ways to get behind the army and harass you on the other side of the map.
Yeah, and he's setting up to do that right now as the army's obviously trying to swing towards this bottom base. Creep's gonna see it.
He's so a little glitchy here. I kind of like this mini Terran. He doesn't have any medevac, so his attack's only going to work a couple times. And unfortunately, with the Raven going back home, I don't think he's going to do well versus Burrow roaches. Let's see if he has a scan that's capable of spotting these roaches or not. Yeah, and you can see like the wave of burrowed roaches that are all healing up behind. Yeah. So a lot of damage done to Eris, and the end result is basically no dead units. So that's that's not good.
Yeah, suboptimal for sure. That Banshee barely alive there had detection early. You can see too again that thing of if he was able to make progress, there's roaches behind him, but the second unit of Marines going after the base in the middle, pulling things a little out of place.
Yeah. Still not seeing the Raven with either of these attacks. I'm not sure what happened to it, but it was the key to getting damage done.
Yeah.
Without it here, all that stim went to waste.
Yeah, still not too bad. He's getting cleaned up here now finally, but he killed some army, but then some of it just stayed alive forever. Ling's
Yeah.
basically the main thing that died. Few workers, but he's still so far behind in workers now that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, the goal of that attack had to be an overwhelming victory because just because of the economic state of the game. I swear it could have happened. Like, he didn't have the medevacs, but that doesn't matter, like, for your first couple stims. And he had a Raven. So if everything was together, I think he could have just stimmed and blown through all those roaches, killed a base off, could have turned this game around. But I think the Raven went home to deal with a single zero burrowed Zergling or something. And now we're looking at a maxed out Eris with some nice little...
Yeah, and you see all the tech behind this now too, going up to Hive, going up to Lurker Den, Baneling Nest. Infestors are going to come out as supply gets cleared up. All of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not 100% over. Mini-Taran did take a third base behind this, so he's got some macro. He's not as all in. He's got a good tank count, which is always good against these Roach Hydra compositions. And he's got Stim and Medivacs now as well. It looks like he's actually getting focused on the command center somewhat, which is good for Mini-Taran. That means the command center just saved 1,000 damage to the Marines and Marauders, which is really awesome. And yeah, nice hold there for Mini-Taran.
Pretty good here.
A few more of those, he's back into this.
Yeah, does clear out a lot of army supply. We're back to 100 to 80 something. But Eris is kind of not a huge bank actually, but kind of has tech all going at once. So I think he's going to make. Actually, there's a sign of the infestors showing up.
Yeah, beautiful fungal.
Yeah, and we're gonna be able to get into like brood lords and things like that behind this. A single muta being annoying.
That's interesting. Is it like a scout muta or something? Yeah. Or were the more mutas that died off? Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's just the Raven that's messing this whole thing up, or the lack of scans.
Yeah.
Because some of these fights look really good. They're just not getting any kills because of the burrow micro. Need that detection to finish these units off.
Yeah.
Eris Lurkers. That'd be painful.
Yeah. First sign of Lurkers coming in. And I think we may end up getting some like Infestor Baneling connects.
Ooh, that'll be nice.
Fungal things. Yeah, I wonder if this mute is intentionally just to be annoying.
Yeah, and it's working.
Yeah,
the distractions, like the siege tanks chasing the mute around. That's how much distraction it has.
Back. Oh, Baneling landmine. They decided to not just hit the army that it was right next to, but put the landmine in place.
Yep. Unfortunately, there's not going to be an army left to actually hit that.
Probably not. Probably not, but it's a nice idea.
This is the problem placing Eris though. Those backstabs are. Yeah. I mean, that's true of any good Zerg player. I would say it's like starting back in the days of life. Even was the backstabbing of Zerglings is always so powerful. Same with the mutas.
Yeah, and you could see him just dancing them before he moved his army out, and like he just knew the time to send them in, right when he had committed a little too far. Go take things out. And Lurker's also one of those units that's super hard for AI to deal with.
Because Lurker's actually trying to sneak into the main base. I like that as well.
Nice. The pull down of the tank on top too by the Viper. Yeah, Eris just knows how to use everything, and very often doesn't have to get to this late game to win, but I don't know any bot that can deal with everything that Eris does.
Yeah.
Like Like it's so much to code against and worry about, and everything has this special weird use case. And then so much of it just invalidates what your plan would be, like the blinding clouds by the Vipers that can just, you put down a bunch of tanks and then bam, they're blind, or they're pulled towards by the Vipers or whatever. It's just really, really hard to deal with.
That was very impressive. But
Indeed.
yeah, not too bad of a mini turn too.
Yeah. Yeah, again, we're seeing a lot of like the potential of like that's good. It's just you're playing one of the top 4 bots that we have.
Yeah.
And so it's not a good like first. I mean, that's always the way it is. Like kind of you seed people into a tournament. So that's what you're gonna get. But yeah, you're coming in playing like a veteran, like multi-time champions. And so yeah, you can see what your potential is, but it's just not gonna work against them yet. But we'll get probably more close matches later on.
Yeah, that one fight at the third base though was great for
Yeah.
mini turn. I was just
That's
watching
very good.
again, like the command center soaked up so much damage. The Raven was actually there for the fight, which meant the roaches were all dying
Yeah.
that were trying to burrow. Or maybe Eros is smart enough not to even attempt to burrow when you're detected. But yeah, you just needed more fights like that.
Yeah, for sure. Some of the tank positioning there are really good too.
Yeah. So leapfrogging at times. I liked it.
Indeed. So yeah, maybe see. I think it's hard to say. Like you said, like you got to be aggressive when you're doing that, like 2 base, and then you're facing something that's basically on 4 and 5. You got to be really decisive when you go out. But like I was saying, Eris is trying to make it so that you can't be. It's all about distraction, timing, waiting. Like if you've got the weaker force, then you just want to delay everything. And Eris is just really, really good at doing that until he's got the superior one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopping into a game number 2 now.
All right. Okay, there we go.
Eris. Taran.
I keep forgetting that ProBots starts like 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Eris is cheesing. Look at this. Pool
Yeah.
first. And then I look at the mini map. There's like, no,
like,
2
no.
hatcheries, then pool.
Yeah. Reaper taking his designated painted on terrain, following his path.
Self grenade.
Yeah. It's one thing for like, I don't know, the Taran to paint the Reaper directions. Why does the Zerg base have them? The first thing I would do is remove the painting. So that the Reaper doesn't know where to go.
It's where you put your bailing landmines.
Yeah, for sure. Chasing them down onto creep here a little bit. Queen trying to help. Nice hop down. That one a little bit out of place.
Oh wow, is it actually gonna get away?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah, I had that queen on the bottom not tried to chase up. He could have caught him on the way down, but such is life.
Very lucky. But similar start to last game. I think he got what, 1 drone kill, which is always considered above average.
Kill there. If he picks off transferring ones, that'd be good, but I don't think he's just gonna harm them, hurt them mentally. They'll heal.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
Burrow is on the menu once again for Eris.
Yeah.
I do like that. It worked out very well for him last game.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge key. It's kind of, if you're doing almost any, unless there's a very specific timing where you're not going to be able to afford it, it seems like just a no-brainer. Always get this sort of thing.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's great to to code because there's not a lot of subtle decision making when it comes to this. It's like, is your health low? Are you not detected? Okay, burrow.
Yeah.
Burrow, and if you have burrow movements, you can just back up at that point.
Yeah.
It's
Those
just
always look really
regen,
cool.
keeps you alive. It's awesome.
Yeah, the burrow pullbacks are super cool, and then they pop up behind the line.
Yeah.
It's like a very slow blink.
And it gets them out of the way too, so they don't body block the roaches that do have the hit points available.
1-1-1. Got an overlord earlier.
Cloak is on the way this time. Did we see that last game?
Yeah, we did, but he had Eris
Right,
had detection
right,
pretty much most of the time, but
Yeah.
we did see. And that's always hard against it's like the Zerg just has the most plentiful detection usually, because you could just turn any random overlord into it. As long as they do it. Takes a little bit of resources to do, but that seems like it beats scans. I think a lot of people have trouble like getting like, where do I scan? You can like center it on the unit, but that's often not the best thing. You almost want to cheat in the direction of where it's going to be fighting, or cheat in the direction that it would escape. But it would be hard for like a bot to do that.
Yeah, and the scan has to be synchronized with your army as well.
Yeah.
Like
Just
just
to
looking
get
at a burrowed unit isn't helpful, right?
Yeah.
You gotta decide, am I actually pushing in? And if I am, now this is the time to scan the burrowed stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we see a lot of that stuff.
And then once again, with bots, the moment the scan comes down, you can unburrow and run away. Or you can just stay burrowed and move out of the scan range. And that's something a bot can do with each individual unit. So oftentimes, you scan a pile of roaches and you get one. It's like, was that even worth the scan? Probably not.
Pretty big.
So that's why a Raven or something is much more reliable.
Yeah.
Or even more so, the Oracle, which Sharkbot takes good advantage of.
Yeah. Oracle we've seen used pretty well now. It took a while for anyone to get the hang of it. It almost always failed on the initial attack, but then a couple of people have made it work okay. And then the revelation was almost more of a, well, I made this Oracle and it failed, so I'll revelate something. But eventually people started to make much better use of that. And then at least you're not worried about where it is. You tag the group and then it follows them.
Another Overlord going down.
Nope.
Actually, maybe for the first time, I saw a Queen die to a Reaper grenade. And
Yeah.
it doesn't pop the carcass up in the air. It just splatted the Queen. Good amount of Marines. Eris does see it coming, though. He's got some fake Marines in the pile there.
And he's
So,
kind of
let's see.
setting up.
Yeah. Let's see if this first attack can have more success than last game.
Yeah.
As long as the Raven stays with this army, I feel like last game there could have been a lot of success.
You can
However,
see that
chasing
little
a
red
single
group.
Zergling. Yeah.
Yeah, there. These lings are trying to get through, but they were like not finding a hole to do it.
Yeah, and there's like 25 Marines chasing a single Zergling at the top of the screen.
Yeah, it's this stuff of like, you get like group up and go. And yes, that group of lings was gonna try and backstab you, but it's this stalling. Like he could have gone a minute ago.
Yeah.
And now this stuff's here.
And not only that single Zergling delay the attack by like 30 seconds, but split the army up. And now there's this gigantic pile of bile that doesn't have the Raven again.
Yeah.
So sad. So we're going to see a whole bunch of roaches go into the red and nothing actually die.
Yeah. Yeah, quite a shame. And a couple roaches make it back through. There's the burrowed movement, but the Raven is with this group at least.
Yeah.
But that's not where you want it.
Yeah, that single Zergling was the victor. He cut the army in half single-handedly. And the one half just disappeared.
A Marine down here shooting the
Optimistic.
extractor.
Yeah.
Not even the drones. Gonna try it again. Is the Raven with the group this time? It should be with this one, but I don't think it is. I think it's still back at the base.
I think he hangs around wherever the tanks are, and I don't know
Yeah.
where the tanks are at the moment.
I think they're at the third there, going down.
Yeah, it's very close to being a competitive match. Just
Yeah.
a couple tweaks. They're not the easiest tweaks either, too, because for us it seems very simple. For a bot, it's like, okay, I'm actually being attacked in 5 different places. How do I recognize that I need to ignore 4 of them because they're not that important, and keep my main army on the offense?
I like the very economical amount of banelings that haven't done anything, but they're there.
Yeah, I think they're literally just for bailing landmines.
Yeah. You made
That'll be nice in
each
the
game made
human
4 of
versus
them.
bot meta, or human versus bots, if we do that at the end of the year,
Yeah.
or at the end of the season.
So now, once again, going into the Infestor, going into the Lurkers, getting a pile of upgrades, all that stuff. There's the tanks, but they're no protection to them. We'll just kind of get jumped on.
Yeah, unfortunate for mini turn. I was hoping for a little bit better luck in how things played out this game, but it was
Yeah.
actually worse luck.
It looked like it was going to be better because he was going in the direction that Eris's lings were hanging out to try and backstab, but then you can't really catch them, so they ended up, just getting chased into a corner and stuff.
In theory, a Zergling and a Phoenix can never die, because
Yeah,
they're the fastest units for the ground and air, so as long as you're microing well, you can always just stay out of range. Well, finally there's a Raven where it should be, so these lurkers are getting killed off, which is nice. However, the third base is still alive, or just dead? I can't tell.
I can't see if it's floating below us. I think it's gone though.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice
good
little
luck.
fungal usage out of Eris.
Yeah,
I guess it's a
seems
good
pretty
time to
good
see
at
like
that.
what if this were a close match, like how strong Eris actually is, because we might be seeing Eris against some stronger Terrans in the future.
Yeah, interesting. Like last stand in this little valley position. Eventually will get overwhelmed, but he's doing pretty good. So the lurkers are now close enough to kill the last tank. The rest will crumble.
Yeah. Yep. Oh well. I think Mini Terror might be the strongest of the new bots we've seen thus far, though.
Yeah,
It
there's
seems
a
like
lot
a
of
very-
capability here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just like, let me make a bunch of units and go. It's actually like a diverse composition. It's got a mid game and a late game. It looks like it has. It's just facing the best bot that has ever existed. So
Yeah.
no matter what, you're gonna look bad.
Well,
All the
that-
veteran bots look bad versus Eris too.
So the third was floating alive, but it was just up here. Fine. And now they all match. Important.
Oh, I wonder if that was what the single muta was for in game 1. Maybe it was like I was about to max out. Let me get a muta, so in
Yeah.
case someone floats to the corner.
Yeah.
He's already planning for the elimination.
Fair enough. Good thinking. Peace.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there was someone look for potential. There's potential
Yeah.
in the new Terran.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I think if you don't, like in a lot of the bots, are passive until it's time to do something. Eris is not. So yeah, you could easily see, okay, the army groups up properly, and we went and attacked the base properly with all the units that we wanted, including the detection, and this just steamrolled. That could easily happen. But but Eris isn't going to allow that to happen.
For bot authors, you really need to consider how far away the enemy is when you're responding to things. So if you're halfway across the map and Zerglings into your base, your newly produced units should attack it because they're nearby. But your units that are already across the map should stay on the offense and continue doing what they're doing over there, not head back home.
Yeah, for sure. And I think bots in general have trouble with the idea of being committed to something because they're going to evaluate as you go along, like whether this is still a good idea. But there's a point at which it doesn't matter if it's a good idea anymore. You're in this,
Mhm.
and that's it. And that's true defensively as well. We see a lot that, like, if a bot is being overwhelmed, it will retreat. Well, that kind of makes sense. But then it will retreat on its fourth base, its third base, it's natural, and then it's in its main, hiding behind the mineral line because it can't win the fight. Well, there has to be a point where you're like, well, this is the last line then, because if I let go of this line, then there's no point anyway. But again, some bots will have a hard time doing that, and it's a tough problem to figure out. Like, I'm going to lose, but am I better off losing now than later? And usually, that's been a problem with some, like, training of machine learning bots to play games, is they prefer to lose later than now, usually because some part of the reward mechanic rewards them for living longer.
Right.
And
right.
so they'll stall that sort of thing out. But yeah, and here, if you're only making the decision of am I going to win this fight? Well, if you're never going to win it, then it means that you never take it and you always retreat. But yeah, so there's got to be something kind of overriding that sort of thing. Anyway, on to our last match of the night. We're going to get Zozo versus Clicka G. Juju. Something like that. There's a G in there, man. Yeah, Zozo versus the Portuguese Click. And that's his name too. Whatever. And yeah, Zozo here. The strategy, there's nothing written, but it's that picture. That's the strategy. And over here, strategy, make roaches against Zerg and random, lings against Protoss, lings and Hydras, not spelling Hydras right either, against Taran. Makes some sense. We'll see if he gets that far. Weak against cannon rushes, invisible banshees. This person doesn't play StarCraft or is translated directly from their localization and can't break planetary fortresses. Made with the Ares framework and using the Queen framework.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah?
Those are basically what we just saw, which is Ares.
Yes.
Ares, the author, Raspberry created the Ares framework.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Sharpie, it doesn't really do the things for you. It just kind of, here's all the tools you need to do things.
Yeah.
Now you can use those to do whatever you want. So it'll be nice where, like, if we have many bots using this framework, they won't all look the same. They'll actually be
That's kind of fun.
very
so
different.
if people are curious about it there, then open code bot. You can see my code on, and then here's your GitHub. Kind of fun. If you want to check that out. So, and both.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good thing to check, actually, because it's probably a good framework to use, and it's brand new. So if you're a new bot author and you like Python, I would definitely
Go for it.
Use that framework and check out that sample library, or sample bots, I mean. Yeah, Zozo is an interesting bot. He's the only bot that started as a worker rush and transitioned into macro play without losing the worker rush. He just started like, let me just send less workers and then do one base all in. Okay, let me just send less workers and expand, you know. But it always involved the worker rush as the base of the attack.
Yeah.
Which means like he has many variants of worker rush, from like the all-in version to like a macro version.
That's definitely the way it should be too. You like, yeah, you start with like the bare minimum and then you kind of iterate on how do I deviate from it in ways that still keeps that principle but spins off. And I always thought that was a good way to just learn to play the game to begin with too, is like always like 4-gate or something like at the start of StarCraft 2, and then you're gonna get, sometimes you'll just win, but you'll often get stopped, and then how do you spin out of that thing into something? And if you learn to, particularly if you start cheesy, the area that you end up really good in is not just the cheese, but the scramble off the failed cheese. And your opponent probably has experience with that cheese many times, but they don't have experience with this scramble off the failed thing. Like, they don't know when you pulled out and just started taking gas or expanded behind it or like whatever you do. So things like that are fun. But yeah, we've seen that a lot with bots. We've had champions that were originally worker bots that turned into zealot rush bots and things like that, and just kind of iterated until they became a full blown one. So I think we are ready for our first map now. Let's hop into it.
Was that a
Zozo.
ghost mouse? Is that what I saw?
I think it was.
That's pretty awesome.
Clicka G.
Okay, so it's not a worker rush, but it is cheese. And we have a hatch first out of Clicka G. So, yeah, this proxy could work out very well, assuming it's just going to be like a proxy 2-gate zealot or something along those lines.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. Oh yeah, we've seen this flower before. Yeah. So yeah, it will tend to be 4, and then he does tend to accumulate to get like 6 usually before he goes, but we'll see how it varies this time. And
Interesting.
yeah, it can be pretty strong.
Yeah, for this, I think you need to have really good logic on what your zealots are doing.
Yeah.
You have a limited amount of time where you got to get a lot done, and so you got to make sure your zealots are not whacking away an extractor, but always chasing units and chasing the right units. You don't want to be following his Zergling around either.
Yeah, exactly. Try and chase a Zergling on creep while getting hit by a queen, or like, yeah, all kinds of stuff can lead you in the wrong direction.
Yeah. It's actually a little interesting thought project of like, what do you actually want to be targeting? Like, you gotta be denying the mining first and foremost. So then, okay, if the drone's off the line, what are you chasing a Zergling around? Are you going after the queen? Are you moving into the main base? Or do you just attack the hatchery?
And we are getting the first 2 right into the main base.
Or-
They want it to go after the pool. They twitched.
Yeah, they're thinking about it. And that's
Yeah.
not a bad target either. It's
Yeah.
like a spawning pool. That's game over.
Yeah.
Nice retention of the drones, keeping the weak ones alive. However, I'm afraid that there's not really much of a follow-up. We just see 4 Zerglings and speed.
Yeah. 6.
The Queen's
Sling.
not joining the fight. That's not good.
Yeah, a little too far right now.
But
Not
at least the
helping.
drones are fighting. That's something.
And down there's this problem.
Yeah.
But interesting, he sends the first 2 in there and then lets these take the base on the bottom. And then they'll kind of naturally accumulate here. And then when it goes down, well,
Yeah, naturally accumulate, I think, is the right word. I don't think Click is set up to handle a sort of attack like this.
Yeah.
Maybe the production is in response to the zealots, like where the fact is producing non-stop Zerglings, but I don't think it understands like the situation it's in.
no. Yeah, I don't get the sense. Then
It would have been a really tough hold even
Yeah.
with a perfect micro anyways, when you're going
Yeah.
hatch first versus proxy.
Yeah,
4-gate
it's just really
zealots.
strong. Yeah, you really got to be often with like all this stuff. You've got to either delay it and get it chasing the wrong things, move things out of the way, whatever, or crush it as soon as it comes. Like the first 2 die quick, then you can start to accumulate. But if they're building faster than you're taking them out, yeah, it's a problem. And one of the only ways that you can really take out a bunch of zealots is if you just happen to be going up to roach really quick, like maybe and like accumulated queens in like a good position. But like one of the only things that's going to kill them fast and without taking as much attrition. The good thing with zealots in priority with lings is like you don't chase the ling, but it can't hurt you unless it's touching you anyway.
Mhm.
So if it touches you, you hit it. If it doesn't, you don't. The roach
Yeah.
can run away, and so you kind of want to take them out because it can attack you from range. So if it's sitting 3 squares away, you need to do something about it, whatever. But it's hard to get there. Like you're already going to get to a lot of zealots before you get to
Yeah.
that point. So you've
Yeah,
got to find a way
honestly,
to
I don't think
stall.
roaches. Like I think the only way you get roaches out is if you've already held the attack.
Yeah, and which
It
probably
seems like too late.
requires a spine.
Yeah,
The spines, I guess, is the real interim part, and then the idea is to hold until you can get to.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the reaction we
Yeah.
need to see out of the Zerg.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they have a spawning pool, they can make queens and Zerglings, but all the extra money should be going into spines.
Yeah.
And then is Zozo smart enough to target down those spines, or are those
Yeah.
spines put in a good enough location where they can't be targeted down?
Yeah.
That sort of idea.
Yeah, and like good queen support that heal them or at least guard them. Yeah.
We've also seen how Zergling Rush can be completely stuffed by workers alone.
Yeah.
Because workers in the hands of a bot that are constantly mineral walking when they're between attack cooldowns, they actually slaughter Zerglings. So
Yeah.
the same thing could probably work against Zealots too. If you have a good micro with your workers, you can probably hold for at least a little while.
Yeah, we have seen some good ones where they kind of trap them in well, and you just get a good enough surround, especially with like a queen supporting on the other side. You just surround, pull back the damaged one before it dies. And yeah, and that works. But there's a clock on that. You can take out like 2 zealots like that, and then you're red. Maybe a little more.
But it's not even the surround. It's just the mechanic of after
Yeah.
you attack, you mineral walk backwards.
Yeah.
And if you just have that mechanic and you just, other than that, you're just A moving all your workers, that means
Yeah.
every single worker will get to attack when they're off
Once.
cooldown.
Yeah.
Because the ones in front will constantly be cycling back under mineral lock.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's surprisingly powerful versus these early game units like Zerglings and Zealots. Like obviously during that time you're not mining, so you need to have some sort of follow-up, but it can be powerful for a short period of time.
Yeah, we'll see if does any better this time around. It may be a different cheese too, but I think we've seen Zozo follow up with the same thing if it wins. But let's hop in and find out maybe the last match of the night.
Zozo.
You know it's going to be cheese when we start at the beginning of the game.
Clicka G.
And yeah, we got the hatchery again.
Yeah, very identical to game one.
Yeah.
Almost looks like the same base layouts too.
Yeah, very similar. But yeah, this could be rough. And start of the flower.
So we didn't see the nice drone micro in terms of like stacking the attacks, but what we did see with the drones is that they will attack zealots that are in range of them, and they will run away when they get low in health.
Yeah.
So if a zealot just kind of runs into the mineral line, it could end up running into its death really quickly and not killing any drones. So I think that's maybe the sort of lucky start that Click will need. Otherwise, we may be seeing an exact duplicate of game one here. I'm not feeling super confident right now with this hatch first against Wargate Zealot again.
Yeah, no, probably not. I think, yeah, we also need more. The first queen needs to participate a little bit more. Maybe clear those.
Was
out.
this Overlord position?
Yeah.
This might be new.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it last time. So yeah, does this prompt any response?
No,
Although-
just queued up another drone.
Yeah, he made a drone. Yeah. Oh well. Oh well. Oh yeah. I was gonna say it's full finish, but yeah, it is. And he's still making them.
However, I think as soon as Click sees a Zealot, which
Yeah.
I think you'll be able to see, then the production will change. Speed.
Okay, this time maybe buys him a little more time, but he really does have to make a spine, not an Evo.
What's the Evo for? Oh,
Later.
he's still mining gas. That's why he wants to start upgrades or later or something.
So okay, position with like one.
Yeah, okay, that. Okay, I actually got
Let's
two
get one.
kills.
Yeah.
And the
Alright.
queen didn't get distracted this time.
Yeah.
The problem is when this hatchery goes down, this hatchery is actually pooling all the zealots together.
Yeah.
So the hatchery goes down, and there's going to be like
Yeah,
what,
no
like
big
8 zealots
fire.
walking into the main base.
Yeah,
And these
he's got
zerglings are
nothing
not
for it.
being pulled up. Oh, there goes the
That,
queen too.
that queen.
When it's inject, that's not going to get
Yeah.
create the eggs.
Yeah.
All right, a little bit of fighting with broodlings and zerglings. That's something.
Yeah. Zealot went down to the broodlings.
That's nice.
This guy just gets surrounded and there's just no follow up to it. It's usually it's a delay. Like you got to delay till you get the spines up and then the positioning of those wins. But yeah, with no attempt to do that, there's just nothing stable.
You remember when people used to do like a proxy Evo chamber rush? Just to get like
Yeah, the
broodlings
creep.
into your
Yeah,
opponent's
yeah,
base.
yeah.
So
Yes.
maybe that's what it's for. It's like, let me get some defensive broodlings.
That was fun stuff.
It's one of those ideas that was really dumb, but there was a popular video on it, so other people tried it anyways.
Yeah, you have to do what was it? You make the hatch, cancel the hatch, and then you can make a building where the creep was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Fun. And then like 2 minutes later it would blow up. So yeah, there we go. Zozo, weirdly kind of a veteran cheese bot now.
Oh, yeah.
Tends to do pretty well. And again, we've evolved in what that cheese may be.
Yeah, semi-finalist, I
So,
believe. So
yeah.
has been in the past. So that cheese has taken down many a strong bot.
Sure. Rack, I see you. What's up?
You're on mute.
You're muted. Still muted. I see a Zergling behind you, though. It's pink.
That is
Oh.
true.
There,
There
we go,
There you
there we
go.
go.
There you go. Yeah, I was muted. My bad. Yeah, I was waiting for you to finish your thought, but yeah, Zozo, probably the top cheeser, I would say now. Like, I guess Sharkbot used to be a cheesy bot a long time ago, and he's kind of evolved from that stance. And
He just shield battery rushed some people.
I mean, I don't.
I mean,
really,
he's
I don't
in
see
that
us as
semi.
personally.
He's in that semi area. Yeah, that's definitely a cheese, but it's a
I mean,
complicated one.
I guess maybe from like a human, it would be more of like a bot human ladder. It would be pure cheese. I think on a bot, it's because I think it's a lot more because of the complication of it. It's almost advanced strategy because it is. So I think so difficult to because you have to imagine for every map he has to have some sort of grid and being able to know where to place it properly so it doesn't screw. Like I imagine if we were to talk to Sharkbot about it. And we'll probably have him on Postbots very soon to talk specifically about it, that it actually has a lot of calculations to do it properly. This past Postbots, we talked to him about how he does his micro with his Warp Prism. And it's a lot more in depth than I was going to expect. It's all about states and assigning the right roles and states to be able to pick up and support. So, kudos to the ones. And then Eris against Mini Taran. I think Mini Taran lasted a lot longer than I think many people, including myself, would have ever thought a bot against Eris would do. So, good games all around, especially for day 2, week 2.
Yeah.
And I would say Mini
Indeed.
Taran was almost unlucky with
Yeah.
the fights too. Like it could have been a lot more of a battle, I would say, with a little bit more luck.
I mean, I think in many ways, I know there is a thought process that the fact that you get to play against the top bots so early in the tournament is a detriment. I almost think it's a level of advantage, especially when it comes to the ladder. Sometimes you won't get a chance to touch some of these top bots without doing doing a request for a match. But seeing it and getting these opportunities where they're going to use their best moves, I think that's personally from my own personal experience. When I'm on the ladder, I'm like, you're playing around the sort of the bottom rung. You don't get a chance to see what your bot might do against the top bot. So I think there's a lot to learn from the Neris or from Micro Machine or what have you. So
I feel really sorry for the bots that are right on the cusp of Division 1 and Division 2. They keep jumping up and down.
Yeah.
So in Division 2, they're just getting 1-base cheese nonstop, and then they go up to Division 1, they're facing these like 5-base monsters, and then
Yeah,
they keep going back, but they fix their bot against one, and then they go into the other division and get hammered the other direction.
Yeah,
So-
I'm in Division 2, and so it is a lot of just cheeses everywhere as the eye can see. I guess it's like the human ladder in that way, where it
Yeah,
is
It
literally
is very much like Human Ladder, yeah.
yeah, it's just cheeses. It's just cannon rushes, and maybe one day we'll do like a low bots tournament, and we'll see what's going on at the bottom down here. But it's just cheeses and cannon rushes and all over the place. So yeah, don't want to get stuck down there in low ELO hell. So up for the bots. All right, cool. That was day 2, and actually a pretty wildy one. We had ups and downs, no upsets, which the aforementioned Andy Man would have loved the ace matches, but none today. But there's still time. We go into week 2. Week 3. Why don't we actually take a look at the brackets?
Do that.
Yeah, this week 3 and week 4, I'm looking forward to. Now all the bots that got stomped are playing each other, and all the bots that did the stomping are playing against each other. So we're going to see some really competitive matches, I think, coming up in the following weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have Yuri against Mini Testic E, maybe.
Maybe.
Mini Testic R, basically. Then that'll be interesting. Yeah, like 2 fairly aggressive bots, although Testic, depending on what the race is, we'll see. I think that's going to be a good one. Micro Machine versus Sharkbot, classic. Eris versus Zozo is going to be interesting, kind of. Yeah, just the full pure worker pull. And then Mini Taran versus Clicka G. I've decided.
Click
Is-
GG. Click
I
GG.
think that'll be good. I think Mini Taran's going to show some good stuff there.
And also remembering we won't be having updates. So these bots as you see them now is how you'll see them. And we don't have a group A and B for you to see. But if I can maybe see if I can quickly pull up the challenge. So that will be Ketrock. So this will be in group A and B. So it'll be Ketrock versus Tier, T-Bone versus T12 Pool Bot, Xena versus Benbot BC, and Apide versus Bomb Shaker. So that will be the other groups. And so we'll be going into the losers, lower brackets, for week 3. So that is T-Bone versus 12 Poop Bot, Apide versus Bomb Shaker, and then the ones we talked about today who came down. So the lower brackets, they don't get an update. Someone's going home into the going to the scrap pile. No home for you. Straight into the monster. I don't know if everyone you guys ever watched the bravest. Was it the littlest toaster? The bravest toaster? I can't remember. But there was always this like
I think it was the bravest toaster.
Is the
I think
littlest
so.
brave toaster? I can't remember.
Something like that.
I don't know. I watched it when I was a kid, but there was in the movie there's like this thing that would crush all the cars, and that's what I imagine what our crusher would look like. If you ever watch that movie,
The brave little toaster.
The Brave Little Toaster. I love that movie. You never watched it, Cat?
Never even heard of it.
Never heard of it? Oh my god, it's a classic. I love it. Anyways, yeah, there's a car crusher in there, and that's what happens to your bot if you lose in the ProBots. You go to that car crusher. So yeah, absolutely. I guess actually before we kind of roll out. Oh wait, you do know Cat Rock. I saw it. Do you remember?
No, but you reminded me of something else. Remember, like, I never went to one of these, but I remember seeing commercials for it all the time.
ToasterCon.
No, what are those things called? Monster trucks, like Bigfoot.
Oh yeah.
And then it would always have like some
Oh,
robot
yeah.
dinosaur thing that would like
Yeah.
blow fire and pick up
Yeah.
cars and chomp them and stuff.
Truckosaurus.
Truckosaurus, yes.
Truckosaurus should be knocking out our bots when they
Yeah,
die.
we
Yeah.
might actually get like an animation one day. But as many of you seen, we've upgraded a lot of our broadcasts. So hopefully you did enjoy our show this week. Gentlemen, before we leave and before we sign off, what was your favorite match of the night?
Good question. I probably think the Eris mini.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah.
Mini Taran would look really impressive to me. I like
Yeah.
to see how he does against some of the other new bots.
And so far in the season, what would you say is the most improved bot coming back into this? We've seen everyone now, so
Of our existing ones, that's a good question. Let me relook who was there. I don't know. It's hard because some of the ones that are really good are just they've always been really good. Would it be weird to say Zozo? But I guess last season it's almost more. If it was a 2 or 3 season question, it's probably Zozo. For this season alone, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think Zozo is a good. Like I have no problems with a Zozo answer. Cat Rock, what about yourself?
I don't know. I hope it's Tier. And we've seen some epic games between Tier and Eris in the past, and I hope Tier's still at Eris level.
Yeah, see, I'm having a hard time saying like a champion, like a former champion bot has improved the most, but yeah.
Yeah,
We've kind of either got, we're in a weird state. There's so many new bots. We've either got ones that have been like they're quarter or semifinalists at least, semifinalists at least, or they're or they're brand new. Benbot?
Ooh.
Benbot maybe?
he's always slowly progressing.
Yeah.
Every season he's a little bit better than the run before.
The year of the Benbot. This could be the year of the Benbot. This
The question for me is though, has Eris improved? Like, is Eris like a finished product and that's why he moved on to Phobos for a couple of seasons?
Yeah.
Or has he been secretly getting stronger and stronger in the last couple of seasons he's been away? And we're about to find out the full power of Eris.
Like a hyperbolic time chamber for bots. He's just been like in secret training on 200,000 times gravity. And now after
just load something, he's like, I know Kung Fu.
He's just powered himself up.
That'd be scary.
Oh man. So I imagine maybe they just want, they're ready to win again. Maybe they're like, you know what? It's time for us to win ProBots again. Because I feel like every season Eris is in, they've won, if I remember correctly. Have they lost a season?
Yeah, well, they lost to -0 once.
Yes, -0. Oh man. If -0 comes back, that'll be the true kind of, I don't know, Kung Fu master champion. Like, the master has gone and left long ago and no one to challenge the top bot and then returns to see.
Yeah, you could argue the -0 is actually stronger than Eris. But the thing is that people forget about Rasper is that he has a lot of tricks up his sleeve too. He never has to use them because Eris just beats everyone straight up. But then when he finally has a challenge like -0, it's like, oh, now there's like these 500 cheese builds that I've never shown you guys. Time to break out these guys and lay the slap down. So
yeah, that's like, what is it? My final form? Eris is not showing us his final form. So.
Yeah, he hasn't had to.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of final form, if you're out there, don't worry. You can always help us reach our final form by hitting that like button and hitting the subscribe. Many ways. And if you want to go even further than that, you can go to ProBotsAI.com, join, become a member. We have a lot of behind the scenes. We can get one of the artwork, but most of all, we have post bots, and then you can join on in the weekly assembly that I run, which is just the mob programming that I've been doing, putting on together the bot that goes onto the micro ladder. You can join in and be a part, and and then you also help fund all this great content that we're putting together. So, ProBotsAI.com, and then, of course, if you want to get on the ladder, AIarena.net. That's where all these bots come from. That's where all the competition happens, up in the ladder, and you can put your stuff there. And then also go to the Discord. Laughing Games casts a lot of the games, so he can cast some of your games as well if it's something that's interesting to watch. All those good stuff. I think that's it. I don't know if I have anything left to point out. Endersword, any last words before we wrap up our stream?
It is Micro Machines' 19th season.
You calculated it. Oh my god, have we had does that mean that we've had a total of the actual, if we do the 19?
19th, yeah.
Oh man.
We had we had Kings of the North ProBots. Kings of the North ProBots Season 2. ProBots 2019 Season 1. season 2, season 3, and basically that season 1, 2, 3 for each year since then.
Because I thought we did. Oh, okay, yeah. Because we started. I think we started off in the mid years. It was 2 and 3. There was no season 1 for the first season. We started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did first. The first one we didn't call it anything because I think we only thought we were going to do it once.
We were only we were only going to do it once. That was the initial plan. And then we were kind of like, I think it was you and I. We were just like, why don't we just do a tournament for bots?
Yeah,
and
we
then
just did it after that show.
we just did it randomly, and then here we are. 19 seasons
19.
or 19 and a half.
This is the 19th one, yeah.
19 and a half seasons later. And you know what? Thanks to a lot of you guys who've been watching for so long. It honestly couldn't be here without you. As you can see, and then many of you guys, if you go back, they're here on YouTube. So if you want to see like 2018, 2019 ProBots and see the production change of how we've come, we used to like listen on VLC and had to like, you know, sync.
That was awesome.
Sync to be able to watch replays. So I feel like we've come a long way, and these bots have come a long way. All right. Micro Machine, all he did was micro marines. That's it.
Also, you're overestimating by saying he microed them.
True. He moved them.
He sent them.
He sent them.
Tyr was also there in season 1.
Was he originally just called Machine then?
Yeah.
Called that. Yeah.
It was aspirational. Aspirational
Very
machine. Aspirational
Yeah.
machine. That was all it was. Cat Rock, last thoughts before we wrap up our show.
Season finals rematch in 2 weeks. Tyr versus Ketchup. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I bet you are. Do you have anything ready for that? Do you?
I am equally as incapable of dealing with Thors, so there's that. But,
all right. Well, we'll find out.
We'll
We had
see.
the bouncing Thors last time, and we'll see if we got the bouncing Thors this time. So, whether or not. Other than that, all right, for guys, thank you so much for coming and watching us this week. We'll be back next week, Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on ProBots AI YouTube channel. You guys are the best. Don't forget ProBotsAI.com. See you next time.